Thank you for connecting in for the K12 Essential Employability Skills session, the K12 Employability Skills via Curriculum and the Career Development Coordinator. Thank you for the National Career Development Association for having this session. And again, thank you very much for connecting during this time. I am Amy Policastro Schrader. I am currently the Career Development Consultant for the North Carolina Department of Public Instruction in North Carolina. A majority of my role is supporting the North Carolina Middle and High School Career Development Coordinators, also known as CDCs, and the work that they do with our K-12 students. The CDC role aligns with the role of the NCDA credential, the School Career Development Advisor, the SCDA, the School Career Development Advisor, for career development professionals working in K-12 settings and with students, building the community partnerships for the benefit of that student workforce and their future careers. I'm also responsible for supporting our high school career management and our middle school exploring career forces, the curriculum that all North Carolina students in middle school and high school have the opportunity to take related to career development. Prior to my current state role, I served as the CDC in North Carolina in both a traditional school and building a single gender leadership academy, middle and high school, early college. The CDC supports students and provides avenues for their career awareness, career exploration, and career experiences, including work-based learning and building community partnerships. Prior to my education career in North Carolina, I worked in a corporate 500 organization in Illinois within human resources and education and training for over 10 years, as well as full-time faculty in Illinois State University within the Industrial Technology Education Department. In the world of the National Career Development Association and my local North Carolina Career Development Association, I serve and have served on different committees as leadership and committee members. I currently serve on the National Government Relations Committee. Previously have been the co-chair for the National Career Development Month and have served on that committee for, for a few years, maybe up to 7 years now on the committee membership. Related to the North Carolina chapter of Career Development Association, I've been the co-chair for the Career Development Month, been on the committee, and am now this year the chair for the Government Relations and Public Relations for the local chapter. I'm active in NCDA, as you can see, and extremely happy to be here again. As a facilitating career development instructor, I'm supporting those that I serve by leading that course. I'm also a certified school career development advisor from the first cohort this fall with NCDA. I'm active as a school counselor and career specialist K-12 constituency member, and if you've attended some meetings, conferences face-to-face in the last few years, you may have seen me at one of those meetings and speaking in front related to Career Development Month. Again, thank you very much for coming and checking in today. There are 3 overall quick goals of this session: to hear the why and how for the North Carolina Department of Instruction's 6 essential employability skills. Why do we have them and how we identify them? To also hear how the 6 essential employability skills are used in all of North Carolina's CTE, Career and Technical Education curriculum, and also how the North Carolina Career Development Coordinators, those school career development advisors in North Carolina, use the essential employability skills with students, and hear about our toolkit and something that I call the cookbook. Thank you very much again. So here are our goals, and we are going to move forward. So why the essential employability skills in career tech ed, how they came about, and a quick nickname that we refer to them back in the office is the Big 6, because there are 6 of them, how the Big 6 came to be. What are the Big 6? We'll go through a little bingo, is something that I had planned for the face-to-face session. So I'm going to show you what that is virtually and provide that in a handout for the course, for the session rather, and a little glimpse into the toolkit. So that is the layout for the session. You've had the goals and what's going to happen. So as a opening here, you'll see this soft skills identified as essential for success slide in front of you. It is directly taken from the NCDA's Facilitating Career Development course curriculum, Chapter 8, which is job seeking and employability skills. And you'll see that there are items on the left and right that are important, and I'm going to refer to later on and reference back on this slide for this chapter. It's the very last slide of the whole job seeking employability skills section. The section goes through resumes, interviewing, practicing, networking, and then what do you do once you get the job? Well, these are the essential skills to focus on. And I'm dropping that essential here because I love that NCDA has this as well, because it's something that we in the world of career tech ed and Perkins 5, a federal grant, use essential for. The 4 essential areas for job performance that have come up and noted through research with NCDA is that employers are looking for students, participants, not students, my apologies, for professionals to be dependable, reliable, punctual, positive, effective, quality of work, good quality of work, and quantity. But I circled the top 3 items because those are items that you will hear me mention when I'm talking and speaking to the North Carolina essential employability skills. To the right are the top 10 skills sought out by employers, again, that NCDA lists and references. What I have highlighted or circled are terms that come out and are used, either referenced or specifically used through our DPI and North Carolina Department of Instruction's essential employability skills. And you will see that these are communication skills, ethic, teamwork, problem solving, communication again. Now, the last 2 that I've circled, interpersonal skills and flexibility, adaptability, are behaviors, demonstrated behaviors, and demonstrated and observed behaviors that are seen through the essential employability skills that we have in North Carolina. That's my little teaser that we have this in NCDA. It is out there and to support part of what our work is done in North Carolina. So I had promised, well, why? Why did North Carolina come up with 6 essential employability skills for the career technical education CDCs? Well, in the fall of 2018, there's a habit where we meet with our state board and make presentations and update them on items that we're doing. And in the fall of 2018, our assistant director made a presentation to our state board discussing and covering all of our workforce credentials or industry and recognized credentials that our students get to earn. And through that discussion was reference to the soft skills that we have in those credentials and in all of the curriculum and the program areas that are covered through career technical education. And nationally, that's 16 areas of clusters, career clusters as a point of reference. And our Board of Ed looked and said, well, this is fantastic. This is phenomenal. Where specifically, what and how often, where are these soft skills in the curriculum? What specifically ones are you pulling out, CTE? Because we know in the FCD course that's supported that NCD has referenced some. We know that NACE has career competencies, and we know that ASCA mentions career readiness skills. So what are we doing and how often? So that's sparred some conversation and need on our end to further expand and say, okay, well, we need to make sure that we are documenting this and showing all of North Carolina, especially our board, where these essential employability skills are pulled and referenced and what are they. And starting with that, well, what about the term soft skills? Well, because this happened in 2018, the data is a little bit outdated. However, we looked at the resources and the reports, and the North Carolina Department of Commerce does a yearly employers need survey. And in 2018, the results from that and overall noted that more than half of the employers in North Carolina are seeking entry-level employees and list soft skills as the high need, in demand employability skills. And we hear that constantly, whether they are entry level or not. People need the soft skills. Beyond that, the North Carolina CTE Career and Technical Curriculum provides and supports career exploration, career development, technical skill development, and career readiness, where soft skills are included in all CTE curriculum. So we have it written, but our board had some questions. So if our board had some questions and the community had some questions, so how is DPI ensuring that these 6 essential employability skills are embedded in the work of curriculum and the work of the career development coordinator, in all of that? And also we reached and tapped out to our business and industry partners, all of our districts, and most of the high schools, but all districts have business and industry advisories and partners that they work with. And we do support and have CTSOs, career technical student organizations, in the state and all districts, and they all encourage the use of the term essential skills. So we took the essential skills from CTE. We saw the NCDA said essential for employability success, and we saw that Perkins said essential skills and employability skills. So we did together essential employability skills rather than soft skills. Our industry partners were key to the transition of, let's not call this soft skills, let's go ahead and say essential employability skills. So great. So we did that. Now, what are they? Well, meeting the goal that we need to have a career and college ready North Carolina workforce, CTE will use a common language, and that language to the board is going to be essential employability skills in all of our career and technical education user guides. And that was approved. Again, this is early 2008, moving fast on that. Let's get it approved. We're going to have one, and how are we going to figure that out? Well, resources were reviewed, and there was a small team pulled together that I was charged with leading, with some CT leaders in the state and CDCs to find a common theme, definitions for 6 common essential employability skills. They were identified. What are the common terms? What are some demonstrated behaviors for them? It was not an easy task, as you can imagine, because I've mentioned some different organizations that have their own career competencies, soft skills. Department of Labor has some items, and how can we succinctly come down with 6 and make them universal for North Carolina? We spent a day culling together initially 5 resources, and then we led to 16, where it was a room full of flip charts, and I did not share the resource where they came from with my team, and I did not share the title of what these outside organizations and these professional go-tos call their employability skills, essential employability skills. What I did was we posted the flip charts around. Here are some terms and used and common definitions that are used throughout. Let's pull them together. So it truly was 8 hours of intense. Well, let's merge these flip charts together where meaning flip chart A matches up the meaning of flip chart 7, H rather. We pulled it together and we came up with 6 commonalities, and then it was to come up with the 6 terms. So some of the resources that we leaned into were the Department of Labor and Skills to Pay the Bills. North Carolina has an employability skills resource toolkit from years ago. It's a bit outdated. And then we refer always to Nevada's employability skills for career readiness standards. And Perkins is related to CTE. Perkins has a collaborative resource network, which has employability skills and some artwork icons, and then our career and technical education CTSO Skills USA. Those were the first 5. They were the first 5, and again, moved on to more. And it was 16, where the end of the day for our board, it was sharing that we truly connected with NACE. Not a complete duplication of it, because they have more terms than 6 for their career competencies. They have 8 career competencies, but of the 8, 6 of them lined up with our 6, and the NACE organization had a task force of higher education and corporate leaders for well over a year, working on how they can define those career competencies. And NACE says their career competencies relate to career readiness, and that career readiness is the attainment and demonstration of requisite competencies that broadly prepare college graduates for a successful transition into the workplace. Career readiness competencies, career readiness equals essential employability skills. That's how we took it, and very pleased with the 6 terms and essential employability skills that we came up with, and the marrying with the national organizations, the experts on this category. NACE has 8 competencies, as I mentioned. We also looked at NAF, the National Academy Foundation, who is the cream, the leader in work-based learning and career academies, and they have a career readiness skills report, and they've come up with 8. And our 6 employability skills line up with their 8. There's 1 or 2 that has a different title, but the definition at the end of the day marries with what we have. And again, DPI, the North Carolina Department of Instruction, has 6 essential employability skills. So without further ado, here are our 6 employability skills, one at a time. They're not showing yet. This looks like a Holland code symbol. I'll reveal them one at a time. So you know that the 6 essential employability skills for North Carolina Department of Instruction and our CTE curriculum and our CDCs working with the students were vetted by our CTE advisory, which consists of CTE leaders in the state, educators, administrators, instructional designers, and some CDCs. So it started in 2018, later into 2019, we finalized, we did some vetting, and here's what we got. So the first of our 6 essential employability skills is communication. And communication is one of those items that is visible in NACE, and it is also visible in NAF in their category as well. So the second essential employability skills is ethic. Ethic is also one of NACE's career competencies. They have it as professionalism and work ethic, and we came up with just ethic in our research. Additionally, NAF has ethics as one of their career readiness skills, career and college readiness skills. So we have DPI and Department of Instruction, communication and ethics. We also have problem solving as the 3rd essential employability skills. So if we look at problem solving is also listed as one of the 8 NACE career competencies, and problem solving is listed as critical thinking and problem solving with NAF. Again, we had 16 resources. I showed you the top 5, but I think it's important for those that we work with, support, and collaborate with to show how they are aligning with NACE and the national research that they have done. The 4th essential employability skill is professionalism. Professionalism, as mentioned, is one of NACE's career competencies, and professionalism is something as well in NAF's career and college readiness skills. Our fifth essential employability skills is what I call them the trickiest to relay and work with. Again, we worked in that room and we came up with culling all the information and terms together. Resource management related to DPI and the Department of Instruction lines with digital technology for NACE's career competency. It is the competency that shows and demonstrates that the individual, the student, is aware of where to go, what information to access, how to use it, who to ask. And it isn't always digital in the world of K12, but definitely during COVID, it's digital. So resource management has been excelling for many of our students. The 6th and final essential employability skill is one that we can't live without. It's teamwork. And so teamwork is also noted in NACE's career competencies. It's teamwork and collaboration. It is also noted in NAF's career college readiness skills. And it's our 6th, the North Carolina Department of Instruction's 6th essential employability skill. So I went through a quick, how did we get these 6 essential employability skills? and why, mention the why and the how. So here is going to be an overview of how is it used, are they used in North Carolina curriculum. So the use in North Carolina curriculum has always been there, right? We've had them, we just haven't pulled them out. We haven't pulled them out and come up with 6 common denoted essential employability skills, because we will be reporting this to the state board and in all of our data. If we are nothing, we are data driven, and we'll be able to report back what standards, what courses cover which essential employability skills, and how often are they touched on, which speaks to how often the student is getting is focused and experiencing that opportunity to work through and demonstrate the essential employability skills, because in the end, we are building a future workforce. So with that, here's a quick look at a sample crosswalk for our CTE curriculum. Very simplified, couldn't be simpler. In all 1920 new and updated North Carolina Career and Technical Education curriculum, this simplified crosswalk is at the end of all of our curriculum user guides. It breaks down and shows all the 6 employability, essential employability skills, and what standards cover and speak to them. The standards are also broken down to objectives, fine-tuned, fine-down, granular down to objectives, where the teacher, the educator, and anyone looking at the crosswalk, the curriculum user guide, will see what essential employability skills are covered. Now, this is going to report that we're going to be able to easily share at the state level with our directors, leadership, and the Board of Ed. What is not visible underneath, further down on the sheet, are the definitions and the demonstrated behaviors and objectives for each of the essential employability skills. That is provided within the curriculum user guide to all North Carolina CTE teachers, and every CDC has it as well. So the charge is that all new curriculum for the 1920 year, the 2019-2020 school year that we just completed and moving forward, has this crosswalk at the end of every curriculum user guide. And any new course moving forward, we do have some curriculum consultants who felt a little eager, and they went ahead and backtracked, and they've updated the curriculum and gone through each of their courses to denote exactly where the employability skills are covered, and moving forward, we're ensuring that we're having everyone covered, each of them covered in every course. So another way that some of our curriculum consultants are denoting the essential employability skills is in our sample course guides. This is not mandated in any way by our leadership. It's an option where there's a visual. You'll see the hexagon there is the symbol. In lieu of the symbol, they might have listed the actual essential employability skill. It was completely left up to the consultant if they wanted to do that as well for their teachers. But again, what was mandatory was that it is in the back of every curriculum user guide. So I had the charge to create the master template. It's locked in and there's no altering at all. We have a way to share master documents where they aren't altered, so everything is consistent in our curriculum. Another way is in all the resources sections of our curriculum is for the curriculum consultant to denote as a resource a link to our DPI essential employability skills, our North Carolina Department of Essential Employability Skills. That link is not active. So you see, I did some of this earlier in the year, a disclaimer, because I was preparing for the face-to-face, right? And then COVID came on, and we have had some changes on some of the links, and I didn't have a chance to change that for this session. But it's just a point of reference that is an option for those teachers. So, or the curriculum consultants rather. So for you, I'm going to encourage you, we're going to pretend that we are in this live session, which is face-to-face with Buco people, and I'm smiling at you. It's great to see some of you again from the previous NCDA conferences. Let's take a screenshot of this if you'd like. My thought was, the intent was, take a screenshot of this to see the North Carolina 6 essential employability skills, and then I was going to challenge you. So go ahead and take the screenshot if you haven't. Thank you for humoring me. I do appreciate that. So the challenge was to put you in groups. And we're in the conference, and if you're with some colleagues now, you could certainly do this or see how this can be done later on. Because this process of putting you in groups and reviewing it first is what our career development coordinators are doing with the students initially when they push into classes and teachers. The challenge is, you saw the 6 essential employability skills. I did not provide any definition to you or provide any expected behavior, demonstrated behavior that we want the students to have through the curriculum or through work with the CDCs, the Career Development Coordinator. But the challenge is, can you come up with your colleague or your table mate, your shoulder mate at this NCDA conference, 3 to 5 demonstrated behaviors for each of the essential employability skills? And there I put them back up on the screen behind me as I'm here face to face with you and show you. Okay, well, let's talk about them. And you might come up with some common observable behaviors. So you are predefining them. So what I'm going to do is open up, and I can't open up for discussion, but show you a glimpse of part of the definitions for each of the 6 essential employability skills. They will pop up on this hexagon. So this is not the full definition. This is a demonstrated behavior of a student who is exposed to activities in CT curriculum and work with the CDC on activities related to communication, essential employability skill. So it's observable that the student has accurate exchange of information and ideas. They're able to give constructive feedback. The teacher has seen that. The teacher's making note. They identify that the audience they're working with in advance, and they need their needs and prepare for their outcome. And they practice active listening. It isn't just sitting there nodding, but they practice active listening. They also can write and speak effectively and clearly and demonstrate that more often than not. So for each of the essential employability skills, again, we came up with 10. We came up with demonstrated behaviors, and what I'm going to do is mention the first 2 bullets for you throughout all 6, so you can get a feel for it and know that after this is our bingo game. And the bingo sheet has been shared in the conference app for you to use for yourself. If you'd like to practice or go through this and use this with a group, feel free to beg, borrow, steal, and of course provide feedback, because COVID has caused some delay on some of this work. So for ethics, the expected behavior is honesty, that you can see the honesty, integrity, and fairness, and respect and communication with others and with themselves. Sometimes this is invisible right away, of course, through interactions through a full course term and maybe some work-based learning. Some of this is coming about as well, and through projects. Honest, integrity, fairness. Demonstrate the golden rule. The student does the right thing even when somebody isn't watching. For problem solving, consider the student is able to consider other options to solve the challenge. The ability to identify potential challenges and roadblocks, cause and effect. They're planning in advance a little bit. They're not only the problem right now, but they're foreshadowing, well, what if this, then that? They're going beyond. That's an employability skill that employers say they need. Okay. And we do need, we definitely benefited from our colleagues who have that skill and strength during this COVID season and each other. Professionalism. So I say professionalism because I mentioned, Chapter 8 of the FCD class, the NCDA Facilitating Career Development class, and I showed you that slide at the beginning where professionalism characteristics were shown as quality of work came up, and that's professionalism, motivation, attitude, positive attitude, and I call this as the sunburst. They are cheery, not overkill, but they're cheery. They have a positive outlook. They're not the Debbie Downer. Well, let's see. We have a roadblock here. Let's come up with option A, B, and C. It's okay. Are they able to balance the work life and the home life? Are they punctual? Are they on time? Do they follow up? And for that student, can they truly self-advocate? Self-advocacy is something that we've heard in North Carolina consistently from the businesses that sponsor our internships. Not only professionalism, but part of that is advocating for themselves. That's how they learn. Resource management, as I mentioned, is the tricky one to communicate with folks and connect, and that is the one that relates to understanding the resources you have. So it can get confused or problem solving, but it's more than that. It's also time management and the resources you have to break down and plan out projects, understand valid and reliable information, plan a work plan out. They visibly anticipate for the possible scenarios that come across. Resource management, knowing who to ask for and where to go, and not always asking, well, what do I do now? It's resource management. Use your resources. Where can you find that information is something that I would always use as a CDC when someone came up with a question. Well, what do I do now? Or where do I find some? Well, where can you find that? Back and forth. How do you resource your time? How do you use your time in the best efficient way and find the resources? So the last essential employability skill is teamwork, and we can't do anything without teamwork at all. We can't do anything, and that is evident and clear in work that we do. All of these essential employability skills are evident and clear and easy to identify in career technical education, where we not only have the students learning information, but part of the curriculum and is mastering the skill, mastering and demonstrating it. And demonstrating it comes often through the teamwork and partnerships with each other. Can they work collaboratively with others? Is that visible? Is there respect and support for team members and value and appreciation of diversity? Diversity comes in so many avenues. Diversity of who they are and the uniqueness of the ideas. And that stumble block with students K12, getting through that will help them tenfold in their career world. So here are our 6 essential employability skills again, and a quick look at the demonstrated behaviors, not the definitions, but our teachers do have the definitions, and all of our curriculum has the definitions. So moving forward, I promised an interactive session. So this is where the Big 6 bingo comes up, and I'm going to say, okay, go back and take a screenshot. Take a screenshot if you haven't of this, because it has the definitions. Well, it has a glimpse of the demonstrated behaviors. And then screenshot this. This is a handout that is an attachment, a PDF with this session. So this is where, if we were live face-to-face, I would pair you up, and I would pair you up with your partner, maybe 3 people at your group, depending on how we were sitting in Minneapolis. But this is where I'd say here, and I had cardstock ready for these. Each column, it's Amy's unique bingo. It's not like traditional bingo. Each column represents one of the 6 North Carolina Department of Instruction, Career and Technical Education, 6 employability, essential employability skills, essential. So with your partner, look at these terms. These are demonstrated behaviors. And in the top of the column, note which of the 6 essential employability skills you believe matches that column. So I'm just going to let you soak it in a little bit. Again, the handout PDF is in your app, and I'm going to click and show you, well, we've had the interaction, and I've asked for some feedback, And then we have our feedback, and then the participants, you, and even CDCers are doing this with students, are providing the answer. So the first column is communication. And you'll see that the first demonstrated behavior is demonstrating the ability to provide, give constructive feedback. Professionalism, they are demonstrating consistency with punctuality, reliability, and follow through on commitments. So these two columns, the column aligns with the essential employability skill on top. Then we have teamwork, ethics, resource management, and problem solving. So if you think this might interest you, that you might like to have the cheat sheet for how this works and the answers, go ahead and take a screenshot. I'll let you do that. Okay, so you've taken a screenshot. We've gone through why 6 essential employability skills, North Carolina CTE, career and technical education, curriculum, and CDCs, how we went around getting them, determining them, denoting them, the research. It, of course, wasn't as quick. It was 16 resources culled together. Happy as can be that they are aligning with NACE and NAFS and other organizations, but to have those two premier organizations who are the experts align with what we've done is comforting, where we move forward and we have them denoted in all new curriculum and curriculum moving forward. And here they are. So now the third goal of the session is, well, what about the career development coordinator, the school career development advisor I mentioned, who's CDC, and the toolkit? Because Amy, you mentioned something about a toolkit, and I call it a cookbook when I'm communicating with CDCs. So the reference is, you know, we've got these essential employability skills. We have the expected demonstrated behavior and the definitions, and they're in all curriculum. But our career development coordinators push in and support the CT teachers. They work with students and have interns, job shadowing, guest speakers come in. So the career development coordinator is key, is vital to the connecting of what's in the classroom to what's going on in the industry. So they may have, I know I did, had some lessons that I pulled out of my hat, so to speak, my go-to lessons on what to do with students and talking about the essential employability skills. And a reminder, we used to call them soft skills. So it came across, well, what if we put together a toolkit? Almost like a cookbook. And you often see those types of cookbooks in a community, a church, where there's a section for appetizers, there's a section for main dishes, for poultry, for fish, for dessert. And I thought, well, why don't we have a toolkit or a cookbook where CDCs can contribute and provide lesson plans that they use all across North Carolina in the 110 districts. We have over 600 career development coordinators in the state working with students. I provide a lesson plan, at least one, that speaks to one, at least, or many of the 6 essential employability skills. In addition, there will be a tab, a section for resources. So let me explain. A section for all the 6 essential employability skills, a tab for communication. So you want to go make an appetizer, you want to go ahead and go make a communication lesson and steal and borrow that from your colleagues, open up the toolkit to the communication tab. And subsequently for ethics, problem solving, professionalism, resource management, and teamwork. But what about the resources tab? Amy, what is that? We're making a resource tab because there are organizations that already have this. I mentioned Skills to Pay the Bills is something that the Department of Labor has. If you Google them, you'll see that they speak to soft skills and teamwork, communication, and professionalism. I know are mentioned because I would use that program. Free, downloadable lessons, activities, resources, videos to help work with students and build on the essential employability skills. So Department of Labor would be listed in the resource tab. It's basically a glossary of free resources, free. Let me emphasize free. I wouldn't want to provide anything that says you'd have to go and buy because we don't have the money as educators. So this is the layout, so to speak, if you can visualize it, there are 7 chapters to the toolkit that we are building, the cookbook we are building. 6, 1 chapter each for each employability skills, essential employability skill, and 1 for resources. Now, COVID put a damper on building this. Our CDC started doing this in the fall at a fall conference, and because North Carolina has 8 regions, there were to be 8 face-to-face regional CDC meetings, I did do some virtually, but doing something extra was put on the back burner because this isn't an obligation for their job. This says, I am going to be published. So we're working on it. I've got a few folks who have submitted, about a dozen, and I'm feeling good about that. We have our CT summer conference the same week as this conference, the National Career Development Association conference going on, and I'm doing another session on that and pulling up CDCs. Here is the link. I did a tiny URL to submit to me, and June 1st was the deadline to submit any resource that you have that is free, that our CDCs can use and can be in the resource tab. I also worked with our consultants and we put together a template of a lesson plan, and a lesson plan for all of the lessons that our CDCs are putting together for every essential employability skill. This is something that we provide out. I've got a Moodle, a Wikispace, a listserv for all of our CDCs to provide resources to. The bottom of the template is an area where they sign off and they date that they approve. They're submitting this, and they're submitting it for the North Carolina Essential Employability Skills Best Practice Toolkit. So it's a long word, and I'm calling it cookbook. We all know that it's the Essential Employability Skills Best Practice Cookbook toolkit, and it's going to be a great resource, not only for the career development coordinators that we're building, but for CTE teachers as well. So they sign off that they're happy to submit this, and they will be in a state published document, which is phenomenal for them for professional development and leadership. The communication about this was additionally shared during COVID. I did a few webinars to my CDCs across the state and labeled them NCDA Career Competency Cafes. So what I would do would focus on one of the career competencies covered in the FCD course and denoted by NCDA. So employability skills is one of the competencies. So I did 3 employability skills career competency cafes. I presented one, a CDC in a district presented one, and a CDC who actually took a lesson and transferred it to a lesson plan in the template provided for the cookbook, presented how they went through and transferred it and what their activity was. So again, a check on state leadership when they do participate and submit for the cookbook, and they'll be published, and you got this. It's wonderful. Anybody can do it. And hey, you're going to have this PowerPoint, and you're going to have this recording. So if you would like to send something and share a free resource with me, or if you want to do submit a lesson for the K12, please, I'm not going to stop you. I can put you in there too with the North Carolina Essential Employability Toolkit Best Practices. So what we went over, or quickly, what I hope you heard is why North Carolina Department of Instruction and Career Tech Ed felt the need to denote 6 essential employability skills. We are covering them. We do that in career and technical education and as a school career development advisor, but it was never labeled, and our State Board of Ed wanted to see it. And now we can pull and report the data, at least from the curriculum standpoint, of where and how these students are exposed to it and introduced and have the experience. Shared how they were identified through the massive research on culling up initially 5 to 16 resources, and how they align with the national resources, NACE being the one that we're referring to the most. Again, when we did that search and culling, I did not share with my colleagues where the resources came from and the titles, etc. We just had the definitions and culled them. So that's where and how. So how are they used in all CT curriculum moving forward for the school year of 2019-2020? All new CT curriculum has this denoted in a curriculum user guide, and anything updated. Some consultants, curriculum consultants, went ahead and back ordered, so to speak, and included this in curriculum that won't be updated for a few years. They wanted it there to be in their courses. Our North Carolina School Career Development Advisor, who is the Career Development Coordinator, CDC, and how they use it briefly. And they're building a toolkit. The deadline for that and the building of that has been expanded because of COVID. So we've graced and pivoted a great deal. Looking forward to sharing that with them again and working through and building it this week at summer conference, the week of July 13th. In our state virtual conference and sharing that. So I'm hopeful that this has been of interest to you. If not, reaffirms that K12, at least in North Carolina, is pushing essential employability skills that the national organizations as NACE do and NAF. ASCA even, speaks to that. And our industry, business industry, HR, the employers, they report that they want new hires and employees rather, because with essential employability skills, they are lacking the necessary essential employability skills needed to work and to be successful in their career and move forward to have promising futures in their careers. So I do appreciate you tuning in, you tapping in to this today. And if you have any questions on the North Carolina K12 Essential Employability Skills via curriculum and the Career Development Coordinator, the how, why, further, and you would like to contribute to the cookbook if you want, please reach out to me. That wasn't the reason for this, but just a little overview of what we're doing in North Carolina at the K12 level to bring forth further emphasis to the essential employability skills needed for our students for their future and their successful careers. Thank you very much again for checking in. Thank you for the NCDA for having this and hosting this. Wishing you the well. I'm hoping to see you all face to face in the future. Please stay well and stay safe.